Welcome to another night in the NBA. This is your 10-minute recap of the last night of NBA hoops, and this is a night that had a lot of big performances. There were a lot of guys that played really well, which builds on the night before, which was also a phenomenal night of NBA basketball. The NBA season is off to a very good start, but I want to talk about the Pistons. I don't think you can talk about anyone else. I think the main topic for today has to be the Detroit Pistons, because they have a new young star duo. Cade Cunningham has looked everything like a star that people expected, but then Jalen Duren looks like he might have an even higher ceiling than Cade. It looks like Jalen Duren is a new star for the Detroit Pistons, could be an all-star very, very soon, and he's only 19 years old. So let's look at the Pistons game today. They beat the Bulls 118-102, kind of handle them actually. After beating the Hornets yesterday, only lost to the Heat by 1. Now all of a sudden the Pistons look like a pretty solid team, and it's led by young guys. But let's start with Jalen Duren, because he has been the biggest crazy story of this Pistons season so far. Jalen Duren against the Bulls finishes with 23 points, 15 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 blocks. There are only 2 teenagers in NBA history to record at least 23, 15, and 5. They are Jalen Duren and LeBron James. The dude is only 19 and he's this good. Why he went where he did in the draft as by far the youngest player in it is kind of shocking to me. He's phenomenal. Over the course of the season so far, let me find his averages. Through 3 games, Jalen Duren has averaged 18 points, 15 rebounds, 4 assists, and 3 blocks while shooting 80% from the field. Jalen Duren has been a monster. He has been phenomenal for the Pistons, is absolutely dominant on both ends of the floor. He's an elite rim protector, he's an elite rebounder, both defensive and offensive, and he's very, very good interior-wise. He can attack the rim, he can catch lobs, he can finish through contact. Jalen Duren is a superstar big in the making. Might be this new generation's Dwight Howard, without all the off-court stuff, obviously. But Jalen Duren is a monster on the court. He's been so good for the Pistons. The rebounding numbers are ridiculous. If he continues this, he'll lead the league in rebounding. At 19, he could be an all-star this year with how he's playing. These are absurd numbers. We just don't see people put up numbers this good, and I would say through the team's first 3 games, he's been the best player on the Pistons, which says a lot, because there are a lot of guys that are playing pretty well. But then the second guy I wanted to talk about, the second part of the star duo for Detroit, has been Cade Cunningham, who finishes tonight's game with 25 points, 10 assists, and 4 rebounds. After having 30 points in the opener, Cade Cunningham has looked very good, coming off of that shin injury that he had last season. It doesn't look like it's holding him back at all. You know, there are a lot of Luka comparisons out there. I still think those are kind of lofty, but Cade definitely looks like a player who could be an all-star. And with these 2 guys as your young star duo, it is a very good time to be a Detroit Pistons fan. I can tell you that right now. I'm sure Pistons fans are thrilled with what's going on with these 2 guys, because they have been phenomenal. Both of them, both Cade and Jalen Duren, have been elite. Looking at some other contributors for the Pistons against the Bulls, Isaiah Stewart finishes with 14 points and 9 rebounds. A similar stat line to what he put up against the Hornets as well, is doing a pretty good job of scoring and rebounding for Detroit. Ausar Thompson continues to just do everything. 9 points, 12 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 block, 1 steal. You know, just fills up the box score doing everything, and is one of the best rebounding wings in the entire league right now. The Pistons are an elite rebounding team. They have so many very good rebounders. They had 53 rebounds to the Bulls' 32 tonight. They destroyed them in the rebounding battle, and that's going to lead them to winning a lot of games because of how good they are on the boards. 18 points for Alec Burks after his 24 the other night, and Marvin Bagley has 11 points and 6 rebounds off the bench, and that's really all the guys I really want to point out for Detroit in this game. But shifting over to the Bulls, 51 from Zach LaVine, but they still come up short. If your best player scores 51 and you lose by 16, I think there's a problem, and that's kind kind of been obvious with Chicago through their first 3 games. They get blown out by the Thunder in the first game, and they have to have a players-only meeting after game 1 because of how bad everything was with the team. They were yelling at each other in the locker room. It was very, very bad. They beat the Raptors in game 2 in overtime on an Alex Caruso 3, but barely come out of that with a win. And then they get trounced by the Pistons in game 3, 20 for DeMar DeRozan, 12 for Vooch. It doesn't look like a good team right now, if we're being honest about the Bulls. They've really struggled, but finally Zach LaVine comes back, because I talked about them on my power rankings and said that a lot of people are noticing how bad Trae Young has been efficiency-wise, but Zach LaVine had quietly been worse, who through the first 2 games averaged like 12 points on like 12% from 3 and like 23% from the field, but puts up 51% in this game on like 60% from the field. So really good game from Zach LaVine, a bounce-back game that he needed, but the Pistons take this one easily, thanks to Cade Cunningham and Jalen Duren, who both look like stars for the Detroit Pistons. But now let's shoot around to some other games around the league and look at the other news in tonight's action, great performances in other games. But let's just look around the league and take a look at everything else. So, looking at other action from around the league, I want to take us first to Sixers versus Raptors. We'll try to keep this other team section to about 4 minutes. Sometimes it ends up being more like 6, but we'll try to run through this relatively quickly. The Sixers take down the Raptors 114-107 behind 34 points, both from Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid. Both players finished with 34, 9 rebounds and 8 assists for Embiid. Really solid bounce back Embiid game from a kind of rough opener against the Milwaukee Bucks. I didn't love how he looked against Milwaukee, but was noticeably better in this game. Maxey continues looking like a star. I think if Harden isn't there, it's a near lock. Maxey's an all-star this year. 18 from Oubre, 15 from Harris, clear top 4 for Philly. The Raptors, who led a lot of this game, end up losing it, but Scotty Barnes leads them in scoring again with 24, 8 rebounds and 5 assists. Really nice year for Scotty so far. 15 points and 10 assists from Dennis Schroeder, but the Raptors go down to the Sixers. Secondly, I'll take us to Pacers Cavs, because this is a game that had some intrigue in it. Some players that played pretty well. Tyrese Halliburton, solid again, as he always is, but the Pacers win this game 125-113. Again, the Cavs didn't have a lot of their top guys, whether it be Donovan Mitchell or Darius Garland or Jared Allen. There were a lot of players missing in this game for Cleveland specifically, but you can only play who's put in front of you. The Pacers win this game, led in scoring by Aaron Nesmith with 26, really solid Aaron Nesmith game, which you don't see super often, but off the bench tonight was really good. 21 points and 13 assists for Tyrese Halliburton. Then for the Cavs, you get 33 points and 14 rebounds from Evan Mobley. Really great Evan Mobley performance. And then Max Strus had 21, kind of struggled shooting-wise, 7 of 20 from the field, and 31 from Karis LeVert, who had 25 in the first half. Great first half, but the Cavs go down to the Pacers 113-125. The Pelicans take down the Knicks in a kind of low-scoring affair, 96-87. Was kind of close for a while, but it just didn't end up mattering. Zion has 24, 26 for Brandon Ingram, as both of them play well, and not really anyone super highly productive for the Pelicans in this game. Julius Randle continues this weird phenomenon where he's good in odd years but bad in even ones. So now in the 2024 season, he's going to struggle. 4 of 15 from the field, only finished with 10 points, and had 8 turnovers. So bad Julius Randle game. RJ Barrett continues to look like the best Knick with 18 points in this loss. Moving around the league once again, who do we want to look at here? A couple more games. I'll take us to Wizards Grizzlies as the Wizards bounce back from their opening night loss to take this win, but it got a little closer down the stretch than I think they wanted, because the Wizards were up by as much as like 22 at one point, only win by 7, but they'll take the win nonetheless. 22 from Corey Kispert off the bench, bench, I believe all in the first half. 21 from Kyle Kuzma, and led in scoring by Jordan Poole with 27, but only shot 8 of 23 from the field. The Grizzlies were led in scoring by Desmond Bane with 26, as they continue to struggle offensively and weren't great defensively tonight either against a Wizards team that's not the best team ever. But then the Timberwolves take down an undermanned Heat team with Jimmy Butler not playing, 106-90, led in scoring by Naz Reid off the bench, who went 10 of 14, super efficient from Naz Reid, 4 of 7 from 3 as well, 25 and 8 for Naz, 19 for Anthony Edwards, a really balanced affair from the Timberwolves. And then the Miami Heat, it was pretty much just Tyler Hero and Bam, 22 from Tyler, 19 from Bam Adebayo, and nobody else even touched double digits for them. Not a great game from the Heat, but with Jimmy not playing, they kind of said, we know we're going to lose this game. And then there's one more game that's on right now. It's Suns Jazz. It is still in the first quarter. We're doing this a little early. There was only one late game, so I figured I'd just hop on here earlier. But the Suns are up 18-16. If I had to guess, I think the Suns win this game, but no Booker, no Beal. The Jazz could totally win it. 6 for Jordan Clarkson early, and 9 points already for Eric Gordon, only 7 minutes into the game. So solid Eric Gordon game so far. We'll see what it ends up looking like, but it could be down to the wire. But that's it for those games. And then, as always, as we're always going to do, we're going to look at the top 5 performances from the night, excluding this last game now. But top 5 not presented by, but just according to the Real Sports app. Someone tell them to sponsor me so we can get the Real presented by out here. But the top 5 players from tonight were Zach LaVine with 51 points, 7 made threes, and 4 rebounds. Joel Embiid at 2 with 34 points, 9 rebounds, and 67% from the field. Karis LeVert at 3 with 31 points, 8 assists, 5 rebounds. Maxey at 4 with 34, 7, and 7 threes made. So 2 players in the top 4 for Philly, and then Jalen Duren at number 5 with 23 points, 15 rebounds, and 5 assists to go with 2 blocks. But that'll do it for this night in the NBA, another night in the NBA. Thank you guys for watching. Think about subscribing. I'm on the road to 12,000, but that's going to be it. So thanks for watching. I'm Herm. Have a good one.